wherever is comfortable. You know you're welcome to sit on blankets if you want to, stretch your legs out if that's better. Really sit however feels good for your hips. Let your eyes gently close and just enjoy feeling your shoulders nice and wide and open, releasing them down away from your ears. And just feel your breath coming in, going out through your nose. Feeling the breath coming into your belly. Starting to circle the torso a little bit with your breath. Does not matter whether you stay really small or you get bigger with your circles. And take your time, letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. To switch directions, just let yourself stop and go the other way, real easily, just unwinding. Good, and then the next time you come forward, let yourself stay a little forward. You can use your hands however you need to support you. You can go farther out or forward if that feels good. You might even want to let your torso shift a little bit from side to side if that feels really good to come into the low back one side at a time. Just be with your breath. If your forward bend can deepen more, go right ahead. If you know you need to stay up higher, keep your back longer. Feel free always to use a block if you need for anything, or a couple of blocks if you like to stack your blocks up and be supported on your forearms, do. And we're going to slowly rise on up from here, bringing our hands on out beside us. And inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. Go ahead and come into a little side stretch. Doesn't have to be far to feel that nice sense of space between the ribs there. Feeling that right sitting bone growing down. And then we'll come on up. We're going to lower that arm down and rise the left arm up. And again, as you come over to the side, it doesn't matter how far you go. Think of reaching your fingertips away from your sitting bone there so that you find more space in that side of the body. And then we'll come on back up. And let's bring our hands behind us and clasp your hands together for a second. See if you can just very easily come into a couple of three-part breaths where you inhale into your belly, and then your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And then let's release our hands and stretch your legs out. Remember which leg you have in front, if you're cross-legged. Stretch your legs on out, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Circle the feet around if it feels good. Shake them out. You can do wiper blades too if you want to. And then we'll bring the other leg in front. If we're cross-legged, go ahead and switch the legs out. And let's start to go ahead and circle again with our torso. Letting yourself come into these easy circles. Bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter how big you make the circles. When you're ready to reverse direction, you stop where it feels good, and just go off in the other direction. Just letting the breath carry you, exhaling as you come forward, inhaling as you come back. Good, and next time you come forward, go ahead and stay there. Let yourself again, come on into that forward bend only as far as feels good for you. So if you like to grab blocks and kind of stack blocks up and be on blocks, do. Good. Just rise on back up. Take your time to come on back up. Stretch your legs on out in front of you for a second again. Shake them out. And then bring your right foot into the inside of your left calf and let your left hand just come over onto that right knee. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, go ahead and bring that right arm around into a little twist here. You can bring the arm across to the outside of your leg if you want, or you can just keep holding on there to your knee or the outside of the leg somewhere. So just enjoy coming into that easy twist. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you on back around into center, and we're going to switch our legs out. So again, just bringing the foot, doesn't matter how high up you bring it, that's really kind of up to you, but sit up nice and tall as you bring your right hand onto the knee. And on your next exhale, let yourself come on around, bringing that left hand wherever you want to go behind yourself there. Coming into that twist, feeling the length up through the top of the head. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly to bring you back around into center. Let's bring the soles of our feet towards each other. They can be as far out or as close in as you want, right? And then ease yourself forward just a little bit as you imagine your knees reaching away from the midline. Don't force it. Just be mindful. You want your blocks underneath your legs here if you use them. Just enjoy feeling the hips here open up a little bit more. All the way back upright, bring our hands on out to lightly touch the ground. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Good. And from here, just stretch your legs out for a second. We're coming on around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, grab a blanket. If you don't want to be on your hands flat on the floor, do whatever one of the modifications feels best for you. Whether you come onto your fist or you get down onto your forearms. You know, you can always use your blocks too for your forearms if you want to get out of your hands to move through your cat-cow. So just take your time, let yourself play a little bit. So if you can just flow your way through your cat-cows a couple of times, and then just really just do what your body feels like doing, as far as maybe you want to stay in cat. Sometimes moving around in cat or cow a little bit, shifting forward and back feels good. Sometimes you just like to stay in cat or cow and have a couple of breaths to let the body adjust. And sometimes you just want to flow through at your own pace. Good. So finish off the one you're on. Let yourself come on back to neutral spine. And then from here, let's send our right foot back on the floor. Curl the toes under, press into your heel. Let yourself just enjoy opening up through the back of your leg. Now this is up to you. If it feels good to push into your hands more and lift that left knee off the floor, you can. You can press into the top of the toes there, or you can even lift the foot up too if you want, just a little more. And then we'll put the knee down. We're going to bring that right knee back under us. Send the left foot back on the floor. Curl the toes under. Really enjoy opening up through the back of that leg. And then again, lifting your hips up, lifting the knee up. You can press into the top of the right toes there on the floor. Or you can lift the foot up off the floor too if you want. And then we'll come on back down and come on back into letting yourself have hands and knees underneath you. Turn your head to the right. Rise your right arm up. It can go up as high towards the ceiling as you want. And then let's thread the needle with that arm. Come on down to the right side of your head. You're gonna reach your left arm up towards the front edge of your mat if you wanna let yourself come into that, or you can just soften the elbow if that feels even better. And just breathe, release here into your low back. And especially just think about releasing in between that space, between the shoulder blades, right? Letting go there. And then we'll bring the left hand back by the face if it's not already there. Come on back to all fours. Look to your left, rise your left arm up. Maybe hand goes higher and higher and higher, that depends on you. And then again, we'll thread the needle. Send that hand on down and let yourself come on to the left side of your head. What you do with that right arm is up to you. You can reach it out like you're doing down dog, or you can keep the hand by the face and the elbow soft. And just breathe. Good. We're going to bring that right hand back by our face and press our way on up from here. And let's step our left foot forward to come into our first lunge. So you know, if you like your blocks, you can have them under your hands any height you want. Coming on up into that lunge, and take your time. Be mindful of aligning that front knee. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Press your feet gently away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Good, and just let your left hand come on up to your left hip and roll your shoulder on up into an easy twist. Just keep your hand on your back there for a second. Find that twist in the middle of your back. And then we'll bring that left hand on back down, and we're going to switch legs. So however you need to switch to come to the other side. Finding that lunge. So the length of lunge where you feel really good to be. Make sure that front knee is not bending out beyond your toes, so you can press your feet away from each other, feel really strong there and really stacked up. And then bring your right hand on up. Let yourself go ahead and roll your shoulder up, hand palm down onto your sacrum there, and just enjoy. Just like you're waking up all the way through the body here. Good. And then we'll bring our hand on back down. And let's step forward and come on into our Ushanasana, standing forward bend now. Feet hips distance apart and parallel, and use whatever support you need. You know that. See if you can bend a knee at a time. Walk a little bit in your forward bend here. Just bend one knee and then the other. Let your head feel pretty heavy. As long as it doesn't bother your back, let your head hang too. And then come on back into center. Let the knees be soft, and just let yourself feel that sense of the torso coming forward like this, just allowing the backs of your legs to very naturally open up. Not trying to force anything, just being with the weight of the body forward. Good, so one more breath here. And we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as we exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, take your time, get your feet situated, let yourself really be mindful of having your gaze coming on forward and out. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Feel that connection in your hands, your palms, just gently allowing your elbows to soften down. Let your face be soft. And as we unfold our arms right on down beside us, we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we're going to step our right foot back, coming into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So spread those fingers nice and wide. If you want to walk your dog, go for it. Be really mindful. Good. And let your next inhale bring you on out to a plank. Strong plank. Really feel that sense of push into your toes like you're kind of drawing yourself a little towards the front of the mat if you can. Feel your belly engaging really deeply. And then to lower down, you decide if you want to put your knees down first or not. Elbows right by the ribs. Come on up into Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide. Let yourself feel your hands there on the floor. In fact, lift your pointer fingers up for a second off the floor. And then let them come back down. And then go to your middle fingers. And then let them reconnect to the floor. And then your ring fingers. And let them come down. And now your pinkies. And let them release down. And now your thumbs. And now let everything come all the way back down into the floor. Feel your forearms on the floor. Feel your elbows just kind of drawing a little back towards your waist. Almost like you're trying to pull yourself a little forward. Belly little engages there. And we're going to come on back down. And we're going to make our way back into down dog, whether you come through a half or a full push-up. Or just back to your hands and knees and back to dog if you prefer. Then we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge here. And then we'll make our way back into our standing forward bend. Right to your breath now, whatever support you need, and you know it. So if you need to put your elbows above your knees, do it. If you need to, as you're in your forward bend, need to have hands on the blocks, use that. Or maybe you prefer just hands. Just release and breathe. It helps you to nod or shake your head a little bit to let yourself feel that weight of your head. Release through your face. And we will bring our hands to our hips and press into our feet and come on up to standing. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now let's unfold our arms into a T position for a second. Reach out through your fingertips. Feel your feet in the floor. And then bring your right arm on top of your left. You can give yourself a hug and stay there. You can head towards an eagle arm wrap or a half wrap if that feels really good to your shoulders. And think about releasing there between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. We're going to come back to the T. We're going to unwind and come back into the T position there, palms facing down, fingertips reaching out equally away from you. And now we'll go left arm on top of the right. So again, you may decide you feel much more easy letting yourself find that hug. Some of you I know love to come into half eagle or eagle wrap, so be where it feels good. If you're in the wrap, if you can think about your elbows just gently lifting up a little bit, but your shoulders softening down. And then we'll release to bring our arms right on down beside us. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, fold forward from the hips into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. And we'll step left foot back to come into lunge. Good. Now let's make our way into down dog. So making your way into your downward facing dog pose, spread those fingers wide. Feel your hands on the mat there. So take your time. If you need to walk your dog or bend both your knees in your dog, by all means, move however you need. Good. And our next inhale will bring us out to that plank again, nice and strong. We're going to lower down again. So again, if you'd like to put your knees down first, do. If you'd rather let yourself come through a full push-up, do. And now come to your tips of your fingers and your thumbs. Float your head and your chest a little off the mat. But let your gaze stay down, so you're looking down towards the floor. One more breath there where you're really feeling your back body lift you up there. And then bring your head back down, your chest back down. Let yourself just take a couple breaths into your low back. And then come on down to flat hands, and let's do that same thing, or continue upward if you want. So you can come up a little bit into your cobra, or you can continue to press and rise all the way up if you choose to. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs, shoulders down and away from your ears. And then we'll make our way again all the way back down. We're going to come back to down dog, however you want to get there from here. Making your way back into your downward facing dog pose. Good, let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into our Ushanasana, standing forward bend. Again, release to where you're comfortable. If you like holding your elbows, if you like that added weight from that, go for it. But remember, you don't want to feel any kind of deep pulling sensation up at your sitting bones. So just be mindful. Feel your face, just letting go, just softening all around your eyes and all around your mouth. You can think of relaxing your throat. And then we'll bring our hands again up to our hips as we bend our knees and press into our feet to rise up, and inhale the arms out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands just a little higher than our head. And then bend your elbows and let your hands still stay like in prayer hands. But it's like you're just touching like this outside of the thumb, the heel of your thumb at the back of your head, okay? If that hurts your shoulder, don't do it, right? If you can let your elbows rise up a little bit, do, but make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. Feel the tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Just enjoy opening there. One more breath. And then bring your gaze back forward and extend your arms up into a wide open V from here. Turn the pinkies a little more towards each other. Feel the shoulders down away from your ears. Mountain with arms overhead. Feel your feet in the floor. In fact, bend your knees a tiny little bit. Press down into your feet, and then imagine you're trying to widen your mat with your feet. You're pressing them away from each other. One more breath here. And then as we exhale, we're going to fold forward from the hips into standing forward bend. Inhale into that nice long back. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank. And let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhaling back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees as you rise all the way with the breath to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhale your way out to plank. And exhale as you lower. And inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhale back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with the breath. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Inhale, nice long back, and we're going to come into down dog, however you want to get there. So coming into jumping or walking your way back, spread those fingers wide. Once you get in dog, if you want to wag your tail a little bit, do, just be mindful, move around however you like. Good. And we are going to bring our left foot forward from here. We're coming into warrior two, and you will want both your blocks handy probably. So line those heels up. Let yourself bend into that front knee and be really easy about that so it feels good. Good. And then just let your hands come to be in front of your heart. Come into your prayer hands there. Feel the fingers spread wide a little bit. Feel the thumb coming in just to plug right where it wants to come in towards your chest there, towards your breastbone. And then feel very balanced if you can between your feet. Press the feet a little away from each other. Feel that into your hips. Good. And then from here, we'll inhale the hands up through the midline. We're going to come into warrior two arms, turning the palms down and letting ourselves just turn to look right out over the top of the left hand. Reaching back through the right fingertips and forward through the left. And for a second, turn your palms up, okay? Bend your elbows, let the tips of your fingers touch the tops of your shoulders. Let yourself then melt your elbows down, down, down. So you feel really long from your ears down the sides of your neck through the tops of your shoulders, right to where you're touching your fingertips, right? And then unfold the arms from there. Turn the palms back down and coming on back into warrior two arms. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale and reach up towards the sky. Breathing into that side of the body. And on your next exhale, come on into your side angle where you bring your hand or your forearm onto your thigh. Swing the right arm up into line if that's okay for your shoulder. Let yourself turn the pinky down. Think about your head being in line with your spine. And just enjoy. Feel that length through both sides of the body. See if you can bend your right elbow. Put your right hand behind your head for just a second. Feel the head just gently pressing into your hand. And then extend your arm back long again. And turn to look down towards your left foot. And we're going to set up for triangle. You know me, I like to put my hand on a block behind my leg. But you can put it on your leg or the floor. Start to stretch into that long left leg as you look at your left foot. Rise the right arm straight up from your shoulder now with the palm facing forward. And just enjoy. You can turn your gaze to look forward or to look up towards your hand if you want. You may even decide it feels better just to look down. Right? Just be mindful. Let it feel really good. Thighs are engaging up towards the hips. Take your time. Really enjoy. One more breath here. We're going to bend the left knee. Come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And let's bring our hands down. Turn our feet more parallel. Set up for a wide-legged forward bend. So you might have to adjust your stance. Get pretty parallel and then come on forward. Grab blocks if you want. You know that. Once you do get your hands down to either blocks or the floor, let your knees be soft for a second. Just stay there for a breath. And then walk your hands out like you're going to do down dog with your feet way apart like this. Now you may want to have them on blocks. You may want to have your hands on the floor. But let your hands be a little wider apart than they are in your dog, right? So a little farther out, more towards the outer shoulders or even a little more than that. Let your head, your chest melt down a little bit towards the ground. Good. And then walk yourself on back with your hands so you can walk them over towards your right foot. Now you can use your blocks and walk towards your right foot, or you can go all the way over, holding on with your hands to the outside of your ankle if you want. Just take a couple of breaths. Let the pose do everything. You just breathe. And then come on back to center, and we'll go to the other side. So again, you can be on blocks in front of the foot. You can hold on to the foot and the outside of it if you want. But just get to that place where you can just be with your breath. Good, and then we'll come on back into center again. Take your time, wiggle around a little bit if you need. Start to think about where it might be good for you to set up to stay in the pose, whether it might be better to use some blocks, or maybe you feel like you just want to let your head hang and walk between your feet, or hold on to your ankles. Just let it feel good. Let it feel like you're not forcing anything, and you can really release in your upper body here as you watch your breath. You know, whatever helps you, whether it's a word or a mantra when you inhale and exhale, or maybe you like to count your breaths. That helps you stay focused. And just imagine the most important thing is just staying with your breath. Good. One more full deep breath, and really follow all the way in and all the way out with this breath. And from here, we're going to walk ourselves back to that left foot to come back into lunge. So take your time as you make your way back into your lunge. And we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times to get your feet stretched out a little bit. And then come on back into your full dog. Hug your elbows towards each other. And let's come out to plank. Now whether you want to add a back bend or not is up to you. You can come into plank and stay there. You can move through for a back bend if you choose, however you choose, like going through chaturanga or not. And then you can come back into down dog, and you can decide if you want any more to do with any of that. So do you want to come through for another couple of kriyas or vinyasas, or perhaps you feel like all you want to do is come down and rest in child's pose or stay in your dog. All right, so be really mindful, take your time. Good. And then when you're ready, finish off the one you're on so that you can meet back in down dog. And we'll bring our right foot forward this time. We're coming up for that warrior two, so you kind of know what's coming. If you need your blocks handy, have them handy there. Line up your heels. Get that alignment of that front knee. Let yourself feel good about the length of your stance as well. So when that knee bends, it just feels like it wants to go right to the right place. And then hands to the heart. Again, spreading the fingers wide, feeling your thumbs coming in towards your breastbone. Feeling very balanced between your feet all the way up into your hips. And we'll inhale the hands up through the midline, and we're going to open them and turn the palms down. Come into warrior two, arms really reaching out through the fingertips. And then reaching back through the left and forward through the right. Really imagine you're looking at something beyond the wall there, right over the top of your hand, but you look way out beyond that. And then let's turn our palms up and just bend our elbows and put our fingertips right there on the tops of our shoulders. And then let your elbows melt down. So again, it's like this big feeling of just all of a sudden the sides of the neck and the tops of the shoulders feel really soft and relaxed. And then we'll unfold our arms down to touching our thighs, turn our palms down again, and rise those arms up into warrior two arms, floating them up really. Let's turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Give yourself a little support back there with your left hand. One more breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So, you know, it can be your hand, it can be your forearm on your thigh. Adding the left arm up into line with the body is totally up to you. Think of the pinky turning down a little bit of that left hand so you feel the shoulder coming down away from your ear. Enjoy the length equal through both sides of the body. Good. Now turn to look down at your right foot. We're going to set up for triangle. So again, you know, I like to put a block under my hand so that when I straighten that leg out, I can put some weight on it, but you can use your leg or the floor. Let that left hand now come straight up from your shoulder unless it bothers your shoulder. You know that. You can put your hand on your hip. And then just lengthen out through the top of your head. And again, turning your head if you like to look to the long edge of your mat, or maybe you like to continue to look up a little bit towards the ceiling, towards that hand, left hand up there. But be mindful, don't do anything that stresses your neck. One more breath here. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips and the feet pressing away from each other, which makes it really easy to lengthen your spine. We're going to bend the right knee, come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then as our hands come down, we're going to adjust our feet for that wide-legged forward bend. And when you come forward, if you need your blocks, go ahead and have them there. Bend a knee at a time here. And then see if maybe you can turn your toes out and bend a knee at a time that way. And now this whole thing about shifting lower, you know, lifting to the heel of one foot at a time, maybe even putting a hand behind you to support you to go down with your hips is up to you. Totally optional to do these stretches. You don't have to go low. You can keep your hips up high, and you can still get a lot going on in your hamstrings by staying up with your hips and letting yourself be bending a knee at a time like that. So come on back. Once you kind of finish off and you're evened out, come on back to turning your feet more parallel. So maybe even a little pigeon-toed, but depending on you. And then come on into releasing into where you need to be. So if you like support, you know, maybe you feel like by now that you just really want to let your head release to crown of the head to drop down towards the ground, and your hands either between your feet or even walking back behind yourself. Otherwise, really, be mindful of your back. Use whatever you need, you know, even if it's resting your elbows above your knees to keep your back long. You can still really let yourself release into the pose, having support of any kind. Full deep breaths. Think of the inhales and exhales being fairly even. I mean, if it feels good to you to let your exhales be a little longer than your inhales, you can do that. I mean, you can count, see what count you reach when you breathe in and what count you reach when you breathe out. And if it feels good to let the exhales get a little longer, do. One more nice full breath. And then we're going to walk ourselves back towards that right foot. So take your time to get back over towards your right foot to come on into your lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk again a little bit to the tops of the toes. Let yourself take your time there. You can come on out to plank. If you want to move into a back bend, you can. If you'd rather put your knees down and rest in child's pose, then by all means do. If you feel like you want to move a little faster to get your heart rate up, you can always flow through those kriyas where you go from your down dog to your up dog. Good. We'll meet back in down dog though. So finish off, especially if you're doing something where you're doing two sides. Get yourself evened out from the two sides that you're doing. So that when you do make it back into down dog, it feels like you're just yawning with your whole body. Hug your elbows towards each other, press your feet away from each other, reach back through your sit bones. Nice. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one. So again, you might want your blocks handy. Mindfully get that back foot set now so that when you get your shoulders around square, it feels really good. Bring your arms out, a breath away from you a little bit. Turn your palms forward and bring the hands just a little forward of your shoulders, right? So they're not hanging right under your shoulders, but they're a little bit forward. And look down towards the front of your mat or a little beyond that, and just feel really good, very open here. Feel the feet very grounded in the floor. And then from here, let's rise the arms up. Start to bring the palms to face each other. And come on up into your warrior one. Wide open V, or even hands right over your shoulders if you want. Again, feeling the pinkies turn towards each other, letting yourself enjoy opening here through the front of the right hip. Feeling that sense of the right sitting bone reaching down towards your right heel. One more breath. And then as you bring your gaze forward, bring your hands back to meet right down in front of your chest. We're going to lean forward a little bit to find a long diagonal line. So you're not breaking here at the hips. It's just this long line. And then we're going to bring our hands on down, and we're going to find lunge by going ahead to release that right heel directly behind. And you can add your twist of choice here, whether it's twisted prayer, or maybe you want to just bring your left hand on up to your low back, or maybe stretch the arm up, or you perhaps want to bring your right elbow across to your left knee. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back into lunge, and we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Get your feet a little closer together. Bring your left leg up in the air. Bend your knee and open your hip. Stack your left hip on top of your right. Let that right heel descend towards the ground. Just enjoy. Now, if you could pull your left heel in towards your buttocks more, do. So you get a little more in your quad. And then reach the leg long. We're going to turn the toes back down and put the foot back down. And we're going to go the other side. Right leg's going to come up, bend the knee, stack the hip. Imagine you're just stacking your right hip on top of your left. Take your time, let the left heel descend towards the mat so you get more there. And then pull, if possible, your heel in more towards your buttocks so you really feel your thigh. And then stretch your leg back long, turn the toes down, put the foot back down to the floor, bring your knees down, come on into child's pose here now. And let your hands walk over to the right. And once your hands get as far as where you're like, oh, that feels just good, see if you can lift your left hand up and put it over on top of your right hand. So you go just a little deeper. And breathe into the left side. And then walk back through center and go over to the left. And again, once you get where you're like, oh, that feels just nice, then pick your right hand up and bring it over to be on top of your left one. And then just breathe. Nice, and then we'll come on back into center. Take a couple of breaths. If you like to bend your elbows and put your hands on your upper back because that feels good, you can, or you can bring your arms back alongside your legs. Good. And one more breath. And then let your arms come back overhead. We're going to come on back up and come into downward facing dog pose again. Take your time. Be mindful. And from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior one on the other side. So again, if you know you feel you want your blocks handy there, get them there for that twist. And be easy as you let your shoulders come square. Arms, again, kind of let them float a little bit like a balloon's blown up in your armpit partially. Turn your palms forward and then draw the hands a little more forward. Now really release your neck by looking down a little bit forward of the front of your mat. And then just let it feel like it's just the next natural thing to want to go up and up and up and start to rise your gaze up. Let your palms turn to face each other, and you can bring your arms more into that wide V, or you can bring them directly over your shoulders. And just enjoy now, feeling the sense of the feet equal in the floor. Inhaling up the front of the body and exhaling down the back of the body. One more breath. And then when you bring your gaze back forward, let your hands come to be right in front of your chest. And we're going to lean a little bit forward. It's not a breaking of the hips, right? Breaking at the hips. It's a real long line. You'll really feel it in your front quad. And then we're going to let our hands come down. We're going to find lunge, remember. So you might want to adjust so that, especially if you want to do that twisted prayer, you might even need a little bit wider stance. But so you can keep your left hand grounded, bring your right hand up to your low back. You can come across with that left elbow to the right knee. So take your time, whichever twist feels good to you. Just enjoy the length through the entire body here. Imagine your head is like a part of your spine. Nice. We're going to come on back down into lunge and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. You're on your own now. Do whatever feels good, right? So if you like to move into any vinyasas or kriyas, maybe you're like, I'm done, I'm going to put my knees down. Maybe you want to do a little something else. Open your hips a little more again, or take your time. Good. And we are going to finish off and meet back in down dog again. And from here, get towards the front of the mat. You decide how you want to get there. Do you want to jump? Do you want to walk? Do you want to crawl your way up to the front of your mat? So get your feet underneath you into a standing forward bend. If you're able to bring your hands up to your back and clasp them, then do that. If that does not feel good, don't do it. And if you can even let your arms come off your back, hands come up towards the ceiling, do that. If your shoulders let you do that. And then from here, let your hands release back to your hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, the hands down and the top of the head just floats up higher. There you are, feeling very light in your upper body. If you need to shift around a little bit or sway around a little bit, do. Just let it feel good. Let yourself enjoy the energy flowing through the body. Feeling very grounded through your feet, but in a way where you don't feel heavy, right? And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down. Move around however you need. If you need to shake everything out, do. We're going to bring our mats to a wall. So let's bring our mats all the way in, and we'll be staying here, so have everything with you. Bring your mats in, short edge to the wall. Good. Now, Susie reminded me the other day, you can blame her if you don't like these. But we're going to do a little pyramid with our hands at the wall. Now, I know if shoulders bother you, okay, so if you were to step your right foot back in pyramid and feel better off to have your hands up higher and your torso long and be right here, you still get into your legs, right? Now, if you like the idea of coming to where you're more parallel to the floor with your torso, but your wrists bother you, just switch to fists, right? Now, the shoulder thing is a totally different story. So, you know, if you need to put your hands down blocks like we usually do in pyramid pose, do. But find where you're okay to be, finding that length of your spine and the equality of the sides of the body. And now, once you get there, if you can look at your hands, because sometimes one hand wants to be higher than the other, make sure you're even. I got it. Block on the loose. Make sure you're even with your hands on the wall. So sometimes one hand wants to be higher, and sometimes one hand wants to be a little farther out from the shoulder so that you're not even. You are totally even here. Good. Want me to take it off?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
You're welcome. So elbows can hug in. You can think about drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. At the same time, imagine your tailbones reaching back a little bit. Feel those thighs engaging up. Yeah, nice, beautiful, all of you. So one more breath. And then we're going to switch our legs out. So all you do is just switch legs. And you know, sometimes it's so funny. I think pyramid, for me, is one of the poses where I feel the most difference from side to side. And even through the years, it's gotten better, but I still feel a difference. So you might have to, you know, change a little bit about how far you are from the wall. Perfect. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Good. Reach back through your tailbone. Nice. Wow, guys. Yep, very level and even. Remember that sense of as you reach back through your tailbone, how the belly has to engage. Back is really flat. Very nice.
I love pyramid at the wall.
Pyramid at the wall. Thanks for reminding me. Good. So one more breath there. And then we're going to walk in towards the wall and turn our left shoulder to where it's at the wall. And tilt your head so the left side of your head gently rests on the wall. And now if your right shoulder lets your arm come up to put your fingertips on the wall above your head, do it. Breathing into that side. You know, if you want to step farther to the right away from the wall and just get a little farther away to get a little deeper into side stretch, do. But see if you can just enjoy keeping your head on the wall, right? So that there's no tension in your neck. And you can breathe into those right ribs, and it feels like such a relief. Feel the weight of your left arm too, if you can, just so you don't feel tension in that shoulder. One more breath. And then rise up, lower the right arm down. We're going to rise the inside left arm up. Now you can get as close to the wall as your shoulder lets you. And I know this is different for everybody. Don't do anything that hurts your shoulder. Bend your left elbow, and if you can put the left hand down behind your neck or on your upper back too. But don't force it. If you have to bring the elbow forward, bring the elbow forward. If you have to step farther away from the wall and the elbow's out more, do that. Right hand behind you, you can face your palm out on your low back. I know a lot of you might just feel really good to send your hands towards each other on your back. You don't have to touch them or anything together. Just let the wall help you, really. Keep your gaze forward. And make sure you're not tucking your tailbone under. Reach your tailbone down towards between your heels. Feel that sense of openness across your chest, taking away all of that roundness. So make sure you're not looking down. Look directly forward, which changes the alignment there in the upper back. Good. One more breath. Now step away from the wall a little bit. Bring your arms on down. Left hand to the wall, and we're simply going to bring our right foot up into tree pose, wherever you want to be. To your inner thigh, to the inside of your calf, whichever tree pose feels good. Keeping the heel and the inner ankle and the toes on the floor is fine. And then you can just play. You can let your hands play with different places in your tree pose, or you may have a place you just want to stay in your tree pose. Keep your hands the same place. Might need to adjust a little bit, bring your foot down, bring it back up again. And remember, there's no right or wrong place to put the foot. It's fine for the foot to be below the knee. Good, one more breath. Let yourself come down. Shift to circle your left foot around a little bit. And even press the top of the toes down into the floor of that left foot you're standing on. And we're going to turn all the way right around to our right shoulder, close into the wall. Tilt your head into the wall so you're supported with the side of your head. And let your left arm come up. Again, this is up to you and your shoulder if the fingertips come right above your head. Maybe you want them to come forward, or maybe you just want to keep your hand on your hip. And again, if you want to sidestep a little bit more away from the wall, you can, if that feels even better. But again, see if you can keep your head on the wall so that it feels so good to breathe into the left ribs. So you've got yourself into that side stretch in the left side, whether you keep your left hand on your hip or have the arm up overhead. And let that right arm hang if you can. So you actually feel weight of that right arm hanging down. Good, one more breath. Now we're gonna come on up. We're going to step in towards the wall, maybe a little more to rise that inside right arm up the wall. And again, as you bend that elbow, you have to adjust. What do you need to do? Do you need to step away from the wall? Do you need to let your elbow be forward? Are you okay to put your left hand on your low back, facing the palm out away from you? Even if that doesn't feel good, don't do it in your shoulder. You can let the left arm hang. You can bring your hands closer together if you choose. Again, you want to feel the tailbone reaching down towards between the backs of your heels. Not tucking your tailbone under. You keeping your gaze forward so you get that natural alignment in your upper back from your doing this with your arms and your shoulders, right? Good. One more breath here. We're going to release. We're going to step away from the wall. We're going to come into tree pose, standing on our right foot with our left foot coming in. Maybe keep your toes on the floor. Maybe keep your heel on your inner ankle. That is a tree pose. Even though you feel like, oh, well, I've got both feet on the ground, I'm not balancing. You certainly are, because if you even just think about lifting your foot off the floor, you're in a balance, even if your toes are giving you a little support, right? So some days that's better for me than bringing the foot off the floor. And what you do with your arms is up to you. You can let your hands be at your heart, or you can bring your arms overhead if that feels better. Beautiful. One more breath there. And then let yourself come on down, step away. Move again through that foot you're standing on, the right one. Lift it up and circle it and push into the top of your toes a little bit if you can. Yeah. And then we're going to come on down. If you're going to want 3 blocks in a second for Dolphin, grab a 3rd block. And if you're not, that's fine. And then all we're going to do at first is come to sitting. So let yourself come on into sitting. Let's do one more little release of our legs before we do that. So let's come into the left leg, coming a little more to the midline of the mat, and crossing over for a little half cow face, right? So we did cow face arms, but now we're going to do the legs without the arms. You might, and if you're like, well, this does not work for me, you can cross your ankle. You can, if you'd rather do that figure 4, you can do that if that's possible. Okay? So from here, just think about coming a little bit forward, letting yourself feel the back of this bottom leg, right? You can let yourself imagine that your navel is trying to lift up and over your knee here. There's a pretty good hip stretch there. So just enjoy letting yourself come into that release of the hips. And now slide your right hand down the outside of that left leg down there somewhere. It can be up, by your ankle. You can reach for your foot if you want, the outside of your foot. Bring your left hand to your left hip and roll that shoulder back, and there you are in a pretty deep twist and a little bit of a forward bend. The outside of the leg might be talking to you. Good. Take your time. Okay, so if you've got the left leg bent, you want to go to the other side. So if you have your right thigh over like we do, Susan,
I don't know why I'm messed up.
you guys have your left. So instead, you want to go the opposite way. So you're actually coming out and twisting towards your long leg. There you go. And then you'll feel it maybe in the IT band of that long leg, right? And then make your way slowly on back up. All we're going to do is switch legs, so I'm not going to say what side you want. We're on different legs. Do your other leg.
She did.
I know. I'm blaming her for that. And then come on forward a little bit. Again, this is actually really a deep hamstring stretch. So don't force it, but sometimes if you stay just for a couple of breaths up high, you feel your heel on the floor, you press into the ball of the foot. Sometimes it just feels good to go a little bit deeper, and sometimes it doesn't. So don't force it. Be where you can. So you'll feel it in the hip of the bent leg, but you'll also obviously feel it in the back of the long leg. So take your opposite hand of the leg that's long and put it on the outside of that foot, or even up higher, right? And then bring your other hand to your hip. So you're again coming into that twist towards that long leg. Press the leg a little bit into your hand, and man, oh man, if you draw that hip back a little bit, feel the outside of your leg there. If you don't, I don't know what to say. It's a pretty intense stretch. And then we're going to release to come on back, and we're going to come on back up, stretch our legs out, and we're going to come on around, do a little dolphin. So if you wanted to do the 3 blocks, you can use them. But if you don't want to do the 3 blocks, don't do it. You can instead be with your heels up the wall, or you can turn around as though you're using the blocks and not use them, right? And let yourself come up like here without using the blocks at all, and make your way into your dolphin pose. And if remember the blocks, they just simply remind you that you want to press into them a little bit, but then let your head hang, press into your forearms, And they just make it so easy to release between the shoulder blades on your back. So the two at the top stick out the other way, Marcy. They stick out there you go. So that you can really feel that support when you wrap your fingers around the bottom block. Your head is off the floor, and it should feel like a huge relief. If it doesn't come down, if you're like, I am not going to do this today, don't do it. If you like to lift a leg up, you can, you know that. So you can come down and rest instead. You can let yourself come up with a leg if you want to. Listen to the Morse code of the drums. I hope they're not tapping for help to get out of the wall.
Urban wildlife.
You know, come on down when you're ready. Take your time. You can come in child's pose. You're more than welcome to sit up if that feels better after being inverted to you. Just be mindful, see how your shoulders feel. And we're going to take our time now. We're going to use our blocks again. So have a block or two beside you. We're going to come on around and right from that dolphin pose, go to lie on your back, right? So again, have your blocks handy. Come on down, let your feet be on the floor. Let your knees come a little bit side to side just to release that way. And see if you can, when your knees go to the right, let your head just roll to look left. And when your knees go to the left, let your head roll to look right. And I mean, that doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to go far with it, but just letting yourself just be really easy. So you let go in your neck, and you're also getting release in your low back and your hips. And then come on back into center. And if you usually are like, yeah, I am not doing supported bridge because I hate it, I understand that. If you really don't want to, don't. But if you can get up onto a block, either lowest height or second height, if you can, just to totally stay there for a breath released, get to where you're fully supported, so you're not hanging off your block. And then see about bringing your right leg in towards your right knee and kind of in towards your chest a little bit and extend that leg up long. And you can keep the knee bent if you want. Now start to engage your belly a little bit. Imagine that you're sending your tailbone down a little bit. And we're going to lower this leg slowly as we exhale down. You don't have to get the heel all the way to the floor. As soon as you feel like you've lost control in your belly and your low back, then just bend the knee again back in towards your chest and extend it back long again. So you're going to do a few of these leg lifts, letting yourself exhale, lowering the leg down, and then inhale and bring it in and extend it back up just a few times, just so you can kind of feel how you're engaging your belly. It should feel good. It can go as slowly or as quickly as you want. And then we are going to switch our legs. So when you finish with that one down all the way as far as you're going to go again, put it on the floor. And then left knee comes in, extend up through that left leg. Feel your belly, feel your tailbone reaching down a little bit, and let yourself start to go on this side. So it doesn't matter how low the leg comes, right? What you want to do is feel like you're not popping up and down with your pelvis. Your pelvis is staying really strong. And you're really using your belly and your low back here. If you press into that foot that's on the floor, the right foot, that also helps. Pressing into that foot. Now, those of you who like really think, okay, well, I'd rather do both legs because I'm so strong, go for it, right? If you feel like, I mean, if I do both legs, I know good and well I can't even go halfway down without losing it, right? But you guys might be a total different story. So if you can bring both legs up, and I actually sometimes just like to stay with my legs a little bit down, you know, to feel that engagement, and then bring them back up again. So just play. And if you're like, I'm really tired of playing with that, that does not feel good anymore, then you can open your legs into a wide V if you want. You can put your feet down and be in supported bridge, or you might be more than ready to lift up off that block and find a full bridge pose. So this is your playtime. You may even decide, well, I'd rather do a full upward facing bow pose, or I'd rather stretch both my legs long on the floor and open my hip flexors. Or you can also do that just one leg at a time, do that too. You can go up higher on the blocks too. You can use 2 blocks if you want. If you like to be really high in the supported bridge, you can go to the next height, or if you put 2 blocks underneath you, or use your hands kind of underneath your hips. For me, I like the thought of that, but sometimes it gets my wrists. That's why 2 blocks sometimes feels better than using my hands to support. But no, if you know that a full upward facing bow pose sounds really out of the picture, getting up higher on blocks can really help you feel like, oh, pretty close to what you'd feel if you used your hands and pressed up. So just be mindful, enjoy. You know, you don't have to wait for me ever in bridge pose. If you need to come down from bridge pose, if you need to let yourself release, either bringing your knees in, maybe even curling up into a little ball, maybe a happy baby, maybe a plow pose, right? Let your body kind of adjust just the way it needs to when you come down. So if a little easy twist sounds good, if it feels like another pose or a movement that your body is craving, by all means, let yourself do it. I know sometimes support just really helps to allow you to release, whether it's support under your head or your knees. If you need a blanket, if you need a bolster. Yeah, I got yours. Remember, to be comfortable for Shavasana, and there's no right or wrong way to do that. So if you need anything that might help you release a little deeper, just wave at me. Let me know. Allow yourself to appreciate the ground underneath you. As you accept your breaths in and out. Just feel that wave of your breath. Help your body and your mind find those little quieter places. Yourself the gift of these few minutes, giving your body time to benefit how it needs from all you just did. yourself to completely and fully relax. rest wherever's comfortable. Back to your breath. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Stay.